What does melanotan 2 do to your body? Well, this is a unique molecule because think of it as signaling for the skin and pigmentation. And in this video, what I'm going to do is uncover the way that melanotan 2 actually works as an appetite suppressant. Yes, it does increase pigmentation in the skin. We'll talk about some of the downside of that. And then we're also going to talk about this unique MSH pathway that it optimizes and how it may actually increase sexual function. I'm Regan Archibald, the co-founder of Ageless Future and CEO, and my vision is to help you obtain that optimized level of health. And the reason I create these videos is because I've understood that the biology is unique in every single individual. And so I hope to give you some information that could radically change the way that you look at your health. Now, many of these peptides, they are research use only. Melanotan 2 is something that you do not want to just go and dabble in on your own. So as I go through this, make sure you work with your licensed physician who is trained in peptide therapy before you'd ever want to explore this without proper guidance. And for those of you who want to go deeper, go to agelessfuture.com. My team of medical experts can help you put together a protocol that is very selective to your labs. Okay, so let's jump in. What is melanotan 2? Why does it matter? Well, melanotan 2 has been used, first of all, it was studied in Arizona in the 80s and 90s. It was at University of Arizona. What they were looking for is a way that you could tan without tanning, especially you bodybuilders or people who are getting ready to go to the beach. You know, it's winter here in Utah, so it's a little cold. So melanotan 2 seemed like a great option. And as they were utilizing this peptide, what they noticed is that it did in fact increase skin pigmentation. And they were looking at the risks versus the benefits. What were the side effects? The first thing that they found in this study is melanotan 2 did increase nausea. And this has been reported when I've used it or other people who I've spoken to. You do get some nausea when that injection first applies. You can get some flushing, so your face will look really red. So once again, use this under proper medical supervision and guidance, and make sure that if you are using it, it comes from a licensed compounding pharmacy, not an RUO or research use only facility, if you can find it. And so the interesting thing about the research is they found that yes, it did increase pigmentation, and the study was primarily men, and they found that it did potentially give them some ability to have some protection against the sun. Now, this was a great finding, but the problem in this study, and you'll see this, is as they followed these participants, many of them were already using tanning beds. They loved to lay out. Being tan was a big part of their identity. And so it was very hard to differentiate between relevance of skin cancer, did it have anything to do with the use of melanotan 2 or not? And so this is something that we still need to go deeper into the research. And I hope that in the future we have some really, really good data, human data on melanotan 2. This is a peptide that I found really helpful because I love being out in the sun. I also have seen the downside of some of the treatments for the skin when it comes to the use of these sunscreens that we apply. And yes, I know there's natural sunscreens. Your best sunscreen is shade, but I also see that the majority of the people that we work with on the longevity side, when we're building your body operations system, one of the first things that we want to do is focus on getting proper sleep. Now, getting out into the sun as the sun's rising and as the sun's setting are some of the most important things you can do when it comes to having a good night's sleep. And so that melanotan 2 can protect you against some of these UV rays, but the best thing is in the morning, the UV rays, it's basically zero. You're not getting some of the effects of the sun that could be damaging. So get out in the sun. My goal is 2 hours every day. But when you've got those days where maybe you're going on a longer run, I'm a big mountain biker, and so I want to get out in the sun, and I love experiencing this nature and just being outside. It's liberating. And to have the ability to protect my skin, this is something I'm very interested in. That's where GHK copper, using that topically, you can use it, as many people use it as an injection as well. These are some ways you can protect your skin. But at the core of it, Melanotan 2, as they're going through the research, they also found there's one interesting side effect. And what they found is many of these participants in the study, they noticed that they had these spontaneous erections. Now, as I mentioned, most of the participants were men, and this is a different kind of pathway than what we classically would think of, like through Viagra or Cialis or some of those sexual performance enhancements. This works through the central nervous system, and this MSH pathway is part of your immune function that actually signals when there's a threat in the environment. And so when you use that central nervous system stimulus through these MSH-related peptides like melanotan 2 or MT2, MT1, you have a derivative of this particular peptide pathway, and this is where they uncovered PT141, which is now FDA approved for sexual function, specifically females who have what's called hypoarousal disorder. They found that it's not just the hormones that regulates your sexual function. Actually, I love what several doctors have said, specifically like Dr. Daniel Amen. He's a psychiatrist, but he looks at brain scans, and what he says is your largest sexual organ is your brain, which couldn't agree more. And sometimes that passion pathway just gets blocked for one reason or another, and just the ability to activate that pathway through like PT141, that can change the relationships that you have, your closest, most intimate relationships. It's also, when we're talking about longevity, I define health as having a great lifestyle, and that includes having close relationships, having things that you're passionate about and learning, having a purpose in life. A great lifestyle is also having your healthy habits really dialed in. The second category in defining health is having the ability to generate energy. And I look at the sexual experience of being a human. That's where you can generate a lot of really close connected energy with your partner. The other thing I look at it is having enjoyable activities, like making sure you have things that you love doing outdoors. And then the third aspect is having fun experiences. So what are you looking forward to in the future? There's a great book by Christina Nord called The Balanced Brain, and she talks about this pathway for mental health that gives us insulation against depression, anxiety, and that pathway is activated when we're looking forward to something in the future. So while melanotan 2 and these MSH-related peptides, while they have incredible promise, there's a lot more work that needs to be done. But PT141, as far as this category, there's 5 different types of melanocortin peptides, and melanotan 2 is just one of those 5. So here's some of the studies. I mentioned the University of Arizona. This study was conducted in 1996, so yes, 30 years ago. And which is crazy, 1996. So this was a healthy male cohort, and researchers gave them subcutaneous melanotan 2, and this was an analog of the alpha melanocyte stimulating hormone, and then they gave the other group of men saline, so this was a placebo, double-blinded control study. And they did alternating days for 2 weeks to assess the effects of skin pigmentation, the physiological responses, and side effects. And so what they found in these dose escalation phase, they found that the alternating MT2 or melanotan 2 versus saline placebo injections, the MT2 increased skin pigmentation, produced systemic effects such as nausea, yawning, and spontaneous erections, demonstrating that it modulates the melanocortin signaling, and that activates the pigmentation. It actually suppresses appetite some, maybe that's from the nausea, and then it also increases sexual pathways rather than acting like a steroid hormone. So it's an exciting peptide. It's one, your skin is such a viable and important organ system in your body. There's a lot more data that we can dive into on skin health. But if you love this video and you want to go deeper on this, then what I've done is I've provided a link for you to download a free copy of my book, The Peptide Blueprint, and then also a coupon where you can get Blood Labs Ran, because your blood doesn't lie. And so go to agelessfuture.com and my team will take great care of you. I'm Regan Archibald. Appreciate you being here. I'll see you on the next video.